I've loved books since I was a little kid. When I was, 2 or 3 years old, my parents would read to me. I grew up in a house full of books. Every room in our house had books. I remember my parents reading on the couch all the time. So it's just been such a part of my life since day one. And I've always loved storytelling in every form: movies, television, books, theater. So it's just, I feel like it's a part of me. Oh, many. It's everything from like Charlotte's Web to James and the Giant Peach and Matilda, the Hardy Boys, Lord of the Rings. A lot of those books. In fact, Lord of the Rings, I have like 6 different copies of it in my library. Just because if I see a new version, I have to buy it because it means so much to me. So yeah, books, they're my life. All the time. I was that weird kid playing in the forest, pretending to be Frodo and Sam, and I would write these stories all the time. They weren't very good, but I just loved it. I've done it since I was a little kid. I have copies of stories I wrote when I was 8 or 9 years old, and I've been pursuing it ever since. Oh yes. One night I was going to bed, and for some reason I thought of the future. I envisioned this giant maze, and I knew I had a story. So I got up and I grabbed a notebook and just started furiously writing notes for about 2 hours. And most of the stuff, like the general story, was in those notes. I mean, a lot has changed and developed, but a good chunk of it was from that initial burst. Well, I'm not trained or educated in architecture, but I absolutely love it. My favorite thing of going to any city is seeing some of their famous, cathedrals, castles, museums, statues, things like that. I love it. So definitely when I was picturing the maze and describing the maze, in my mind it looked like something you'd see in a castle, or old cathedral walls, so the stone and the ivy and that sort of thing. Yes, I think mazes have always fascinated me. I heard about it in school studying Greek mythology, but also like the movie The Shining from Stephen King. The end of that movie, there's a big scene in a garden maze, and it terrified me and fascinated me, and there's just something very symbolic and eerie and metaphorical about mazes. There's something about them that I love. Well, I wanted it to be bigger than life. I wanted it to define their lives, and which would mean more when they were able to defeat it. And I always planned, and I'm really glad I did, that in the 3rd book, they actually returned to the maze for something, and I feel like they come full circle and came back to the maze and saw it in a very different light. I'm involved enough to feel happy. I don't really have any true power or anything, but I read the scripts, I go to the set, I go to the premieres, I go when they record the music, and it's just been a great experience. And very soon they start filming the 3rd movie.